Yesterday. Only for special people. That is what she said when I asked the date of my adopted daughter's wedding. I was rinsing my coffee cup. Nothing dramatic. No dishes thrown. No shouting. I stood there with that mug in my hand, staring at the same girl I taught to ride a bike when she was 6. The artist who taped crayon drawings to the refrigerator that said, "Best Dad." Only for special people. Kayla repeated, softer now, like I was the one missing the point. I set the mug down. I see, I said. That was all. I did not argue. I did not cry. I walked past her in the hall. She kept tapping on her phone, scrolling like I was background noise. Here is something nobody explains about fatherhood when the child is adopted. There is no safety net for a broken heart. You give and you give, hoping the foundation will hold. But if they decide to write you out of their story, it is like you never existed. Not erased with rage. Erased with casual dismissal. She had moved out a few years ago, but her wedding planning had turned my house into a revolving door of favors. Can you co-sign this lease? Dad, can we use your backyard for engagement photos? I might need help with the venue deposit. And like a fool, I helped. Every time I told myself it meant something. That night, I went upstairs, sat at my desk, and opened the folder on my computer labeled Kayla Wedding. Photos she sent. Venue ideas. A scanned receipt for the reservation I paid for. The same place she ended up using. I selected the folder, hit delete, and emptied the trash. No speech. No final message. Gone. Quick break. If you are listening and you feel that knot in your throat, consider subscribing. More than 90% of listeners do not. And it helps our small team keep sharing the stories people would rather pretend never happened. Back to it. The funny thing is she did not notice the shift. The next day, she texted me a meme. A meme. Some corny joke about marriage and pizza, like I had not missed the most important day of her life. I replied with a thumbs up. Then I stopped replying at all. People say boiling water reveals if you are pasta or a potato. Kayla thought she was the chef. She thought she ran the kitchen. But the second I stopped being the man who always answered, always paid, always forgave, she did not know what to do with me. Not yet. That came later. First came silence. Then a slow confusion. And under that, a proud tilt to her chin. She probably decided I was sulking. She figured I would get over it. I was not sulking. I was doing math. While she celebrated her special people day, I sat on the floor with an old metal lockbox from the back of my closet. Inside were check stubs, tuition statements, lease agreements. A paper trail of exactly who made her independent life possible. On my laptop, I opened a spreadsheet titled Kayla Finances, Support Schedule. There was already a new tab called Closure. What she did not know, and would learn soon enough, was that I had no intention of financing a person who could look me in the eye and decide I was not special enough to attend her wedding. That night, I poured a whiskey, leaned back, and finally let the anger slide off me like an old coat I did not need anymore. I had worn it for 20 years. It was time to set it down. Not for healing, not for peace, for purpose. I had a better use for the quiet that was coming. The house felt too still. It usually does, but that night the silence was surgical, like a hospital wing after visiting hours. I sat in my office with only the desk lamp on and looked at the photo wall. Kayla at 5, gap-toothed and proud, holding her first report card. Kayla in middle school, arm in a cast, grinning while she signed it with a marker in her good hand. Kayla on the porch of her freshman dorm, hugging me like she could not decide if she was excited or scared. A picture of the two of us at a father-daughter breakfast. She had made me a paper tie and wrote, "Number 1 Dad," on it in glitter. I kept it. It is still in the bottom drawer. I did not cry. I did not even feel close. I felt displaced, like I had been evicted from a life I built. I was not her father. I was a subscription service she forgot to cancel. I turned back to the laptop. The screen woke to the spreadsheet I had left open, her financials. Every payment I had made since she turned 18 was laid out there in black and white. Not because I did not trust her, but because I always believed that when she stood on her own 2 feet, I could be proud knowing I helped build the launch pad. $1,200, rent. $3,500, university, term 1. $1,100, textbooks and supplies. $850, car insurance. $2,000, wedding venue deposit, non-refundable. The numbers swam for a second. I blinked and opened a folder I had not touched in years. Its name, Contingency, Account Closure. I created it when Kayla was 15, right after her biological mother resurfaced for the first time in a long while. Tina was thin, sharp, and slippery, drifting in every few years like an oil sheen, dropping a few toxic sentences, then vanishing again. Kayla cried for her once. I stood outside her bedroom door and listened to the sobs. She does not even know me. I almost went in. Almost. I did not. Some part of me already knew that a day might come when Kayla would choose Tina. Not because it made sense. Not because of love earned. Because people hunger for an origin story more than they hunger for stability. I stared at that folder now. Inside it were the connections to every bank detail tied to Kayla. Every automatic payment. Every account I had set up in her name. The folder was a plan for how to turn all of it off. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. A therapist once told me that people reveal your value by the role they assign you. I thought I was dad. Turns out I was funding. I did not touch my phone. No text. No warning. This was not revenge. I did not feel hot enough for revenge. This was math. This was balance sheets. All right. I started the process. Step 1. Unlink the tuition autopay. She had just finished midterms. There would be a lull before the next window. Good timing. Step 2. Schedule closure of the joint credit card. I only ever kept it for emergencies. She never noticed it was in my name. Step 3. Switch the utility bills for her apartment from automatic withdrawal to manual. Let the due date knock on her door for once. Each checkbox did not give me pleasure. It gave me calm. For the first time in years, I was not reacting with guilt or overcompensating with cash. I was simply unwinding the dependency, slow and steady. She would feel it, but not right away. Not loudly. That was the point. If she chose to shut me out of the day that defined her new life, then I would step out of the machinery that kept that life humming. I did not slam a door. I did not post a bitter message. I did not tell a soul. But that night, a man who once believed fatherhood was a promise understood that it had been treated like a contract, and one party had defaulted. I closed the laptop, stood, stretched, and for the first time in a long time, I slept without waiting for a phone call that never came. Sunday brunch. A rustic French spot in a polished corner of the city. Edison bulbs. Overpriced eggs. Too many mimosas. Kayla and her new husband, Dylan, sat at the head of a long reclaimed wood table, surrounded by a circle that now counted as family. I was not invited, of course, but I saw the pictures. The next morning, Dylan's aunt posted an album on social media. She tagged me by accident in one shot, and then removed the tag, but the truth was already out. Or maybe it was just finally clear. The brunch took place 1 week after the wedding. I knew about it. Kayla barely bothered to hide it. But the mood in those photos, the easy confidence as they erased me from the story, hit different. Dylan stood with a mimosa raised, wearing the kind of unearned swagger that some men find when they marry into a name. To family who always believed in us, he said, grinning. Everyone clapped. Kayla lifted her glass and added, to people who never let us down. Across the table, Tina gave a small, satisfied nod, like they had rehearsed the lines. Maybe they had. Maybe the whole brunch was less about celebration and more about rewriting history while the ink was still wet. Kayla looked around like a queen surveying her court. Everyone smiled. Everyone except one. Dylan's aunt, Nancy, I think, sat halfway down the table. Older than most. Sharper eyes. She clapped, but her expression did not match her hands. While the rest of them leaned into laughter and inside jokes, she reached into her bag and checked her phone. I know because in one of the photos, the corner of her screen is just visible. If you zoom in, you can make it out. She was scrolling through old posts. My posts. A birthday card Kayla drew for me when she was 7. A picture of us in a canoe. Me at her high school graduation, soaked by rain but grinning like a fool while she held her diploma. Then Nancy swiped once more and pulled up one more image. The photo was an old one. Kayla holding a moving box, me behind her in a campus parking lot. Her caption read, "Would not be here without him." Funny how fast people forget their own words. In one of the brunch pictures, I later noticed Dylan's aunt, Nancy, lock her phone, unlock it again, and type something small. A message. A link. Maybe a screenshot. She sent it off, not to Kayla, not to Tina, but to someone else. That was when something shifted. Not at the table with the mimosas and speeches, but outside the party. The story had been too smooth, too curated. and someone finally saw the smudge in the corner of the painting. Meanwhile, I was home alone, sipping burnt coffee and trying to decide whether to clean the garage or throw my phone into the river. I did not hear the toasts in real time. I felt them in the silence where Kayla did not text. From the girl who used to call me every Sunday like it was a ritual, there was nothing. I used to be her Sunday tradition. Now I was a redacted paragraph in a memoir she rewrote with a different father. I did not rage. I did not pace. I stood up, went to the living room, took down our high school graduation photo, and flipped it over. On the back, in her handwriting, it said, "To the only man who always showed up." I stared for a while, then slid the frame into a drawer. Some memories you keep, others you bury. What I did not know then was that, while I was trying to forget, someone else had started digging. Nancy was not a gossip. She was not a meddler. She was the kind who watches and files things away, a librarian of uncomfortable truths. Something about that brunch did not sit right with her. She had no dog in the fight, no real reason to care. But that toast, Kayla raising a glass, to people who never let us down, knocked loose a question that had been pacing at the back of her mind. Later that evening, in her condo with a cooling cup of chamomile tea, Nancy opened her laptop. She was not sure what she was looking for, just following a hunch, the way you check the lock even when you know you closed the door. She pulled up Kayla's old social media albums. They were still public. People forget to lock the attic of their digital life. One album stood out, Best Dad Ever. Photos of Kayla with a man Nancy had not heard mentioned once that entire wedding weekend. She might have assumed he was deceased or estranged. But he was not just in the pictures. He was the pictures. Shot after shot, me steadying her handlebars as she learned to ride. Me bandaging a skin knee. Me dropping her at college with an oversized duffel on my shoulder. Birthday parties. School plays. A winter day where we built the worst snowman ever made by human hands. Nancy opened a new tab and searched my name. It did not take long. A profile. Old donation records. A crowdfunding page from years back where I helped pay for one of Kayla's classmates to study abroad. The donation was marked anonymous, but the thank you post tagged me anyway. She sat back, hands steepled, then opened her email. She typed her brother's name, Greg, Dylan's father. Subject, did you know? The body of the message was short. Did you know her adopted father paid for college, the apartment, and the wedding venue deposit? The man who raised her did not get a mention, not even once. Look at these. She attached screenshots. Our graduation photo. A public thank you for a tuition wire I had covered 2 years ago. And one more picture. Kayla at 8 years old, arms wrapped around my neck. The caption said, "He says he is not my real dad, but real does not always mean blood." She hit send. Greg wrote back 2 minutes later. Wait, he paid for everything? I thought she was independent. That is what her mom said. Nancy did not reply right away. She kept scrolling through the engagement photos. The group email Kayla had blasted around to half the world, and somehow not to the man in all those childhood shots. Finally, Nancy typed one more line. So who exactly was special enough to be invited to the wedding? No response came. What could he say? The truth had started to itch under the surface. A man had poured the foundation, and the party on the roof pretended he did not exist. Nancy was not angry. Not yet. But she was curious. And curiosity has a way of finding daylight. In the right hands, curiosity turns into a blade. Nancy clicked through Kayla's recent photos. Not a single mention of me. No tags. No trace. It did not feel like an oversight. It felt chosen. Like somebody decided long ago that I did not fit the brand Kayla wanted to sell. No spot for me at the brunches, no place in the fairy tale wedding, no room in the ladder climbing life. But facts do not go away because you hide them. Nancy had started opening the pages they tried to tear out. The call hit on a Tuesday morning. I was out back, trimming shrubs, hands in the dirt when the phone buzzed. For a second I thought about letting it ring. Kayla's name lit the screen. Hey, she said. No greeting beyond that. The rent bounced and tuition is overdue. Did you forget to transfer it? No context. No warmth. Just an order and a question, like I was payroll and my delay had messed up her calendar. I wiped my palms on my jeans and answered calm. Did I not tell you? A pause. Tell me what? That I am stepping back. I could hear her frown through the quiet. A tiny huff, the sound she made when a joke did not land. Then a tight, nervous laugh. Okay, but seriously, The rent is past due, and the tuition portal has a countdown running. Can you do it while I am on the phone? I looked at the garden, the tools by my feet, the morning sun across the cedar fence I built when she was 10 and wanted a dog. I saw her in my mind on the old work stool, paintbrush in hand, helping me stain the boards the color she picked, dusty earth. Kayla, I said slowly, I told you. I am stepping back. Why now? Her voice pitched up, trying to slip into that old high school tone she used when she wanted a favor. Is this about the wedding? I did not bite. She pushed. Come on, we have always handled this like adults. You know I am good for it. The sentence was so wild I almost smiled. Good for it. I repeated, not mocking, just stunned. Kayla, when have you ever paid me back? Silence. Then a quick defense. I did not mean it that way. I mean, I appreciate everything you have done. You know I do. Appreciation. The kind that forgets your name during a toast. The kind that leaves you off the guest list. The kind that thanks everyone who believed in us, without mentioning the man who kept the lights on. Look, she said, I just need a little help this month. We are stretched thin after the wedding, and Dylan has not gotten his full commission yet. I said nothing and let the air expand. You are being petty, she tried. Still nothing. You are punishing me. That is what this is. You want me to say sorry so you can feel like you have the high ground? There it was. The reflex of people who think love equals obedience. I took a breath. Not angry. Not shaking. Just finished. I am not punishing you, I said. I am removing myself from an equation that does not need me. She laughed again, but it cracked halfway. Okay, I get it. You are mad. You made your point. I did not say another word. But just this once, can you transfer the rent? I do not want to deal with the landlord on top of this. I will fix it later. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. Not from anger. From relief. Lines are not always drawn with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes they are one quiet decision, a boundary finally enforced after years of being only an idea. She would learn soon enough that the money was never magic. It only looked automatic because the man who dug the well never stopped turning the handle. 2 days later, another call. A different name. Same tone. Her biological mother, Tina. I had not heard her voice in almost 5 years. Not since the last time she showed up unannounced and left behind perfume and judgment the way smoke lingers after a cigarette. Hi, she chirped, all shine. Long time. I hope I am not catching you at a bad moment. I doubt that has ever stopped you, I said, dry as dust. A thin laugh. Okay, fair enough. Look, I am calling about Kayla. Of course she was. She paused. I pictured a manicured nail pressed to her lip while she searched for the right entrance. She chose the soft door, like they always do. She told me you pulled back. Canceled things. I did not respond. She is really upset, Tina went on. She thinks you are punishing her over a misunderstanding. There it was. Not abandonment. Not betrayal. A misunderstanding. As if forgetting to invite the man who raised her child to her wedding was a scheduling mix-up. I leaned on the kitchen counter and looked out at the bird feeder rocking in the breeze. A bright cardinal landed, pecked once, and flew off. Even birds know when to leave a thing empty. I am not punishing her, I said into the phone, measuring each word. I am correcting one. Silence on the other end, then a scoff. Oh, come on. Tina snapped, the warm act falling away like a cracked mask. This is beneath you. She was nervous, all right? She did not think you would want to come. Nervous? I asked flat. So instead of asking, she erased me. She did not erase you, Tina insisted. She did not want to make it uncomfortable. You know how complicated it has always been between us. There it was. Us. The buried grudge poking through. This is not about us, I said. This is about her rewriting her life without the one person who never left. She is young, Tina said, sliding into a soft, protective tone. She makes mistakes. You are the adult. You are supposed to rise above it. No, I said. I already did. For 2 decades I paid, supported, raised, guided, protected, and carried her through every season. She made a choice. So did I. She is your daughter. She is your daughter too, I said. But you did not pay for her degree. You did not sit up all night when she had bronchitis at 7. You did not sell your boat so she could study abroad in the summer. You showed up when it suited you. Now you get the seat at the wedding. You are bitter. No, I said. I am finished. The line went quiet. Not a goodbye. Just unsettled static. and then nothing. That evening I sat at the dining table with a legal pad and my laptop. The automatic payments were canceled. Utilities unlinked. Tuition sponsorship disconnected. The emergency card removed. Her gym membership. Her student union dues. The streaming and shopping account she used under my name. Gone. 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 I moved through each step without glee or spite. It felt like deleting an application I had not opened in years. No leftover sting. Just quiet certainty. And the whole time I pictured that brunch. Kayla's glass raised. Eyes bright. Toasting. People who never let us down. Maybe she believed it. Maybe she convinced herself I was not family. I was logistics. Well, logistics can be canceled. For the first time in her life, she was about to learn the difference between unconditional love and unconditional access. It started small. A declined card at the campus bookstore. She barely noticed, assumed the machine was acting up, used a different card, and kept moving. Then her gym fob flashed red instead of green. The receptionist gave a kind smile. Your account shows a payment issue. Probably just a billing error. Kayla shrugged it off. She was newly married, still glowing from the wedding, still high on the idea that adulthood is freedom with better lighting. Dylan did not spot it either. He was chasing sales numbers, trying to reach that bonus he swore would lift them up. Then the email from the university billing office arrived. Subject line, action required. Tuition unpaid. She clicked through and skimmed past the bold type. Her loan portal, something she never really understood because she never had to, now showed a balance due of $12,750. Payment pending. Enrollment flagged. That was when the first crack of panic split her calm. She called the student accounts desk and got bounced around. They confirmed the automatic sponsor payment on file had been removed. She hung up and started dialing. Her mother did not answer. She tried Dylan. Hey babe, what is up? He said. There is something weird with school stuff. And my card. And I got a message from the landlord this morning. Dylan paused. What kind of message? He said rent bounced. Bounced? He repeated. But I thought your dad. She went quiet. Kayla, he said, sharper now. I thought you said your dad had this. Her voice dropped. He always did. Dylan sighed. All right, call him. Get it sorted. We will figure it out. They got in the car and drove to my house. Maybe I was home. Maybe I was not. Either way, the lights were off, and I did not answer the bell or the knock or the second knock. Dylan tried the handle. Locked. Solid. They left. Back at their apartment, Kayla tried her bank card again. Declined. She checked the tuition portal. Still unpaid. Then the buzzer sounded. The landlord stood there. Hi, Kayla. Sorry to stop by, but we have not received rent. Just wanted to check if everything is all right. She managed a thin smile. Yes, just a banking mix-up. I will handle it today. Okay, he said, unconvinced. Heads up, policy says I have to start the late notice if it is not in by the end of the week. She closed the door and stood there staring at nothing. I learned later how the first crack showed up. Dylan walked out of the bedroom with his phone. He did not answer, Kayla said. Did you leave a message? No. He is not picking up, and I think he blocked me. Dylan blinked. His face changed. This is bad, Kayla. Real bad. We do not have enough for both rent and school right now, and I will not see that commission for another 6 weeks. I did not think I needed to worry about that yet, she said, smaller now. He always handled the payments. Yes, but why would he stop? She had no answer. Nobody warned her what a world looks like when I am not the automatic fix. When the current that carried her forward is not there. The net was gone. Not cut. Removed. And as she stood there, she felt what it means to live on credit you believed would never expire. There was no backup plan, because the only plan had been the man she decided did not matter. While I was pruning shrubs and keeping my phone dark, Nancy took her time. That was her way. Not impulsive. Not loud. But once the toast, the photos, and the gaps all lined up, she could not pretend anymore. Something about it felt wrong. She waited until the wedding glow on Kayla's feed started to fade. Waited through a string of vague updates that never said anything real. Waited until Dylan called and said, Kayla is stressed. Something about her dad being weird. That was the opening Nancy needed. She called him that evening. No small talk. You need to know what you married into. What? Dylan asked. Nancy sat in her den with reading glasses low on her nose. Papers spread like she was prepping a case. She had done her homework. Screenshots, emails, old posts, dates matched, bank wires, Even a senior year thank you note where Kayla wrote, would not have made it without Dad's help. Grateful beyond words. Nancy kept her voice steady. Not accusing, just facts. Her adoptive father paid her college tuition. All of it. In cash. He paid years of rent. He co-signed the car and the apartment. I found the wedding venue deposit. His name is on it. Dylan said nothing. She cut him off, Nancy continued. Or at least ghosted him. No invite to the wedding. No mention at the brunch. No toast. She erased him. Silence. You married someone, Nancy said slowly, who dropped the man who made her life possible. Not because he hurt her. Not because he failed her. Because he did not fit the image. Are you sure about this? Dylan asked. I have records, Nancy said. This is not gossip. It is numbers. Receipts. Timestamps. Another pause. Then, very quiet, he said, she told me her dad was distant. That they were never close. That he did not really support her emotionally. Nancy exhaled. She did not laugh. She did not raise her voice. She told you what she needed you to believe to justify what she did. If you want to know who raised her, who answered every call, look at the moment the payments stopped last week and watch what fell apart. Dylan sounded smaller. Why are you telling me this? Because I sat through that brunch, Nancy said, and her tone tightened. I watched you toast people who never let us down, while the man who gave 20 years to your wife got treated like a footnote. He was quiet a long time. You should know who you married, she said at last. Not the version she curates. The version she buries. I need to think, he muttered. I hope so. She ended the call, closed the laptop, and turned off the light. Miles away, Dylan sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor with the phone in his hand. The picture he had of Kayla, the self-made woman, the loyal daughter, had a crack running through it now. Once you see a fracture, you cannot unsee it. He would not say it out loud yet, but something in his gut turned. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Disgust. I heard later how fast it all began to slide. Dylan did not slam a door. He just said, I need some air, grabbed his keys, and walked out. No wallet. No bag. No jacket. Gone like a man who expected to be right back, but already knew he would not. Kayla stood in the entryway after the latch clicked, staring at the grain in the wood like it might speak. Her phone buzzed in her hand out of habit, as if it could pull him back. A message. Then another. Dylan, please talk to me. This is getting out of hand. I did not lie. I just did not tell everything. Please come back. No reply. Calls rolled to voicemail. Close to midnight, she tried again and again. The last message was thin and shaky. Please. I did not know how to explain it. I thought it did not matter anymore. At 2:17 in the morning, there was a knock. Not Dylan. Tina. She let herself in without waiting for an invitation, leather handbag on her arm, full of opinions. Her voice came out sharp. I told you this would happen if you did not control the story. You let that ant dig around. Now look. He is gone. Kayla folded her arms, phone gripped tight. Mom, she said quietly. Why did you never tell me what he did for us? A blink. No shame, just calculation. You knew he paid tuition, Kayla said. You knew he covered the rent. You let me walk into that wedding pretending I built it all, while he, her voice cracked, while he was paying for the venue. Tina's mouth pressed into a flat line. Cold. Unapologetic. Because I did not want to share the credit. The words hung there like a lit match. I raised you too, she said. You think he was the only one who sacrificed? I did not want people to see him as the hero and me as the woman who gave birth and disappeared. But you did disappear, Kayla said. You came back when it suited you. Tina did not deny it. You told me he did not care, Kayla pushed on. That he was controlling, distant, that he did not show up for custody hearings. Tina's face went tight. I needed you to trust me. No, Kayla said louder now. You needed me to rewrite the story so you would not look like the villain. So he could be the disposable one. I did not make you block him, Tina said. I did not make you leave him off your wedding. No, Kayla answered, tears hot and angry. You just made it easy. They stood under the dim kitchen light, two women realizing they had polished the truth so hard they did not know what was real anymore, except the fallout. Dylan was still gone, tuition still unpaid, rent still overdue, and the one man who had quietly braced every beam of her life had stepped away. Not with rage, with precision. Like removing a pillar no one knew the stage needed until the floor began to sag. On Thursday morning it slid under their door. No stamp. No return address. Just her name in clean block letters. Kayla bent to pick it up like a person reaching for bad news. Slow, but without illusions. Inside was a check for $1. She stared at it, lost for a beat. A prank? A scam? Then she saw the letter on thick ivory paper in that same exact torture meat typeface. Payment for services rendered. 2 decades of unconditional love are now settled. No signature. Just a small mark at the bottom, modest but unmistakable. The Forgotten Parent Fund. Established to honor those who gave everything and were thanked with silence. She read it twice, then again, and one more time, until the hallway tilted. She slid to the floor, knees folding like a puppet with the strings cut. The check floated beside her. The letter stayed clenched in her hand, creased by her fingers, as if she could break the words without tearing the paper. She did not sob at first. She sat there, mouth open, gasping around a grief she had not earned the right to dodge. It was deliberate. It was impossibly calm. I had not only walked away. I had marked the absence, set it in stone, turned it into a message for every man who raised a child not of his blood and was edited out of the last act. There was nothing she could say back. No one to call. Dylan did not return, not even to collect his things. The refrigerator hummed louder than the phone, which had not rung since Sunday. Tina went quiet too. No speeches left now that the audience had gone home. Kayla pressed her palms to her face like pressure could stop the collapse. She whispered my name once, as if it could rewind something. Anything. There was no answer. Only the faraway sound of the city carrying on, blind to the breaking of a woman who thought loyalty was disposable, who treated love like a faucet she could twist at will. She had spent years at the center of a world someone else paid for. Now she did not even orbit it. The $1 check lay on the floor like a headstone. A reminder that some debts will never be repaid, only settled. And some people, when they finally let go, do not circle back.